folks, what's going on? Thank you for joining us for another wonderful night of Fourth Quarter Quarrel. Thank you for being able to tune in and join us for a special episode. Tonight, we're going to be covering Zeke in Vegas. We got McNabb thinking he's a Hall of Famer over Troy Aikman because of numbers. And then we got the AFC South. So if you're a fan, I should say, the Texans, Titans, Jaguars, or the Colts, you're especially going to want to stick around tonight. Joining me, as always, are my faithful crew. First, joining up, we got Tim from New York, but feels like he's from Dallas. We got Mr. Fogman coming up with his own analysis called the Fogometrics. Get on it if you have not. Then we got Jason, Mr. Coltman 45. And last but not least, we got Brian, the other college guru, aside from Stephen being the Steeler Nation college guru. And missing, as always, just like the Lions from the playoffs, is Kyle. So we'll just have to go on without him.
That's not all right. You can't.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want me to say these things, he better get his ass in. Nope. It's 100% attendance month. Is it not, Tim?
100% attendance.
We need 100%. So
these are the OTAs. These are the OTAs. And hold on, let me write it down in my notebook here. Kyle is missing.
Appreciate that. We need that for sure. This might be the second absence.
Tim, how much is the fine?
$500.
All right, let's get started. We got Zeke in Vegas. For those of you who have not heard or been up to speed, because it's just off season, but it's not off season for us. Zeke has been caught up in Vegas at apparently a music festival. I'm gonna have Spoonie catch us up a little bit more in the specifics, but apparently he chest bumped the guard. According to some, he fell. Others on the other half of the spectrum say he did a nice Major League Soccer flop. And now the guy's thinking about charging press, possibly getting him arrested. Did he get arrested? Tim, you want to touch up on this? Is he facing a possible ban now? What's going on?
Well, after the last incident last season, Article 46, basically the commissioner has said, any violation with law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you get in trouble, you can be banned, suspended, or fined. No matter what the outcome is. No matter what the outcome. Meaning, if Zeke didn't get arrested, the NFL still could come out and say, you know what, we could ban you, the worst. Okay, now, going forward, Cowboy Nation, NFL fans, I'm not here to excuse Ezekiel Elliott for what he has done. Because at the end of the day, I always feel that if you walk on a certain area and you keep falling, already you should already know not to walk in that same area again. Zeke Elliott, the last time, basically was drinking with a young lady out on float, pulled down her shirt, regardless. What was she to him? It was embarrassing to him, embarrassing to his team, to the NFL. It didn't look good. On top of the domestic violence that he was accused for. So, with that being said, after his suspension, Zeke should be known. Listen, the microscope is on me. End of the season, I gotta chill. Well, what happened in Vegas? In Vegas, he was intoxicated. With a young lady, as she was trying, I guess I don't know if there was an argument or whatever, but it didn't look bad, but he wanted to go get something to eat. He came back, and I guess because he couldn't go into a certain entrance, security wouldn't let him go in. Basically, a security guard came out and said something to him. He turns around, walks up to the security guard. What did you say? And that's when you see body on body. The guy falls down on a metal gate. And right now, after that, Zeke was suspended. Not suspended. Zeke was arrested. Well, not arrested. Zeke was detained.
Yeah.
So he was never arrested. He was just detained, held. That is it. Now, we get news. The NFL doesn't think it's going to be nothing, X, Y, and Z. Now, this week, the NFL, there's a rumor the NFL may go hard to basically come out and use Zeke as an example. Now, The security guard, he wants to get up and he wants to talk. The man says it wasn't a bad thing. It's that Zeke didn't seem serious on his apologies. He didn't look me in the eye. Now, again, I'm not excusing Zeke, but this is my issue. Do you want him to go on all fours and suck your penis?
Why did you please?
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? You want him to go on all four knees and just make you feel good? Is that what it is? Because this is my problem. If the man came out and said sorry, there is way to say it. Sorry is sorry. Plain simple. No excuses on Zeke's point. Whatever punishment the NFL is going to give him, I listen, it's in the rules. Zeke should know better. Okay, there's a guy, there's an NFL player right now with worse situations than him, but this is a repeated thing on Zeke. But my issue is how this guy in a uniform, wearing a badge, okay, wearing a badge, you feeling proud that you're gonna go ahead and now all of a sudden press charges weeks later because now it's hard. Are you serious? This is ridiculous and it's embarrassment. That man right now should be apologizing to anybody who wore a security guard outfit, a shield, a badge. You're sitting there, you see the reaction to the guy. The guy is falling back laughing.
What kind of concert was this, Tim?
I don't know. It's anything in Vegas. I don't know. I know I seen females wearing stuff that they shouldn't be wearing. I know it was my daughter or something like that. Come with the belt.
Tim, I have to ask you a question. We just had a nice screenshot about the Cowboys in 2020 that are looking at contract re-ups. You know, the Dak, Byron, Cooper, Zeke, Jalen Smith. Does this put a little hamper on you wanting to put a little contract extension on Zeke now? You know, we got the penis guns in the club. We got him shoving penises to the ground. What's up with this guy? Are you willing to give him a contract extension, or do you want to move on from this guy?
Hey, shit, it depends. If you know, listen, I'm a Cowboy fan. Everybody should know my attitude, my energy right now. I'm a Cowboy fan. My thing is this. Yes, I want to give him a contract, but it got to have some languages in that contract that states if you mess up again, the money comes to us. Where if they release you, there's no money going to you. Because at the end of the day, listen, they can sweep this under the rug. But come on, every offseason now, we have to sit back and be like this. Oh my God, what he's gonna do? Now listen, granted, is a human being. I'm a human being. If somebody pushes my buttons, of course I may respond. But if I know I already have 2 strikes, I gotta up the way I walk around people. Hey, Fogman, I need you to come with me. Just in case I mess up, you're my eyes, my ears, my mouthpiece. That way you miss, I'm not in trouble. Jason, I need you too. Brian, I need you too. Shim, I need you too. You gotta have people around you. It's like now, I mean, listen, people say that Zeke Ellis, Des Bryant, nowhere near. Des Bryant was judged since the day he was drafted. He was asked about his mother being a prostitute. Des Bryant was just as being a bad. No, the man was just outspoken. The man fought hard, and when he got paid, you saw no issues on Des off the field. No issues at all. My problem is this. Yes, listen, I love Zeke. First of all, I don't want to negate the good stuff he did this offseason at the hockey game. That family who had a personal situation. Zeke has done great things this offseason.
Do you think he deserves any game suspensions?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you personally think he deserves to be suspended, or would it be a joke if he was suspended?
It might, compared to what's going on right now, yes, it would be a joke. What I would do, this is my thing, because right now is becoming a circus. The officer, the security guard, not officer, security guard, never pressed charges. And there's no disrespect to any other security guard, but this guy's not even a guard, in my opinion. But he didn't press charges. Now this is becoming a circus where now he didn't apologize enough, X, Y, and Z. So, and I'm the NFL. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find Zeke and I'm going to put him in a program for alcohol. That's my thing, because 2 times with alcohol, you have done things out of character, putting the girl's shirt down, regardless of who she is to you, and this incident with the person.
Fox, Jason, and Brian, let me ask you guys, what do you think is an appropriate set of games for Zeke? Is it 0? Is it 1, 2? Is it because of being a repeat offender? 4? What do you guys think is appropriate? Or
I don't think I'd suspend him on this case. I really don't. But there's definitely a conversation that's going to be had, if you will. He's coming to the principal's office, and we're going to have a nice conversation. And if you fart the wrong way in public, your ass is receiving 6 games. And that's just going to be told. He's going to receive what Rasheed Wallace, the Rasheed Wallace treatment, in my opinion. That's how I would handle this. I don't care how minor the offense is. No one understand. After this situation, you don't have any slack. There's no extended rope. You're on a choke chain tied to a toilet right now.
Go ahead, Brian. I'll wait till you get going.
Yeah, Zeke's a recidivist, so he's not a guy. If this was an isolated incident, and Zeke's never been in trouble, has never been previously suspended or fined for past actions, if this was just it, then yeah, he can get away with this. I wouldn't touch him. He did a little slap on the wrist. But like I said before, Zeke is a recidivist, and he's a repeat offender. And if you got to tell me how many games I think he deserves, this is the 3rd or 4th off season in a row where he's done something that it's not a crime, but he's just done something stupid. And he's already been suspended 6 games before, right? So if that's the case, if a precedent has already been set for him that he's been suspended, I would probably have to go up just to teach him a lesson. Like, dude, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I say nothing. I don't even try to appeal it. I say, look, this guy has to learn, man. He has to learn. I would probably go above. I'll say 8. Because he has to understand. And the Dallas Cowboys are smart. They'll understand that it's appropriate, because this guy is like, I don't want to say he's spiraling out of control, but there's a pattern. There's a pattern of behavior that's happening with Ezekiel Elliott. And I don't know why. I mean, it's for some reason, people who love Zeke just don't necessarily see that. They think these are all like slap on the wrist. No, dude, this is a pattern. So I will just answer that question by saying I would give him either equal to, let's say between 6 and 8, because I'll give him either equal or, more. Because if I'm the Cowboys, this guy has to learn. He doesn't get it. Doesn't seem like he really gets it.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, if you look at this isolated incident by itself, you can say, well, this is nothing, right? But we're talking about Zeke Elliott, who's had immaturity issues since his college days. I mean, even his own father has said that he's worried about his son, handling the pressure of being a superstar. Yep. Joey Bosa even said that he had to move out of the dorms because he couldn't deal with the partying with Zeke Elliott. And you got to think too, like this is a weird situation with the NFL too, because like Tom Brady got 4 games, right? With the dirty footballs, right? And we still don't know if if it was even if he even lied or not. But it's just that he refused to cooperate with the NFL, right? And so you take a look at Zeke Elliott. I mean, like Brian said, there is a pattern of bad things happening with this kid, and it's always something about partying or after 3 o'clock. Nothing good happens after 3 o'clock. I know that once you get into the NFL, that is something that they try to teach you guys. Like, listen, there's nothing good is going to happen at 3 o'clock a.m. All right, you're either having fun party or you're wasted or you're doing something you probably shouldn't be doing, right? So you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. Now, is Zeke a bad person? I don't know. He's not a bad person, but you got to think too. Like you're showing that the same things you're doing now you did in college, and it's carrying to the NFL. And it seems that it's not really taken serious, right? And the NFL is trying to whatever, if some hope like uphold some type of image that they like screwed up big time. But if I were to suspend him, I would say I would give him about, like Brian said, like at least 6 days. I mean, you have to learn your lesson. Like even if the security guard even kind of fabricated the story, like you get into it with security, you know, about being led to the club. It just doesn't look good. We could talk about like what he said. We don't know what he said. For all we know, he probably said, "Hey, we can't let you in. You can't go out. You can't go in here." You know, but you got to think too. Zeke was wasted. He was wasted. He was not in his right mindset. You know, and whenever alcohol is involved, you know, nothing good comes out of that at all. So I would give him the same amount of games he got. What? Yeah, 6 games last year or 2 years ago? Did he get suspended last year? I would say 4 to 6.
2 years ago.
May I say something?
4 to 6 years ago. I mean, you got to think too. Like, I'm just saying, like Tom Brady, the golden boy of the NFL, got suspended for something that nothing he did compared to what Zeke did. Right?
I have a question for Tim. Tim, can you take yourself off mute because I want to hear your answer real quick.
No, you don't. Leave him on mute.
I do. Tim, I have a question because I remember coming across an article last year, right? And it's so crazy. I saved this article. I don't know why I saved this. It's kind of like premonition. There's an article where the Cowboys said they're not going to give Ezekiel Elliott Dez Bryant rules because they feel like he doesn't need it. They feel like quote Stephen Jones says you can only do so much. These are grown men. I have a lot of confidence in Zeke. He's learned a lot. Hopefully he has. The whole nine. It's a whole quote. I'm gonna ask you, Tim. Do you think? Or actually, why do you think the Cowboys don't want to give Zeke Elliott Dez Bryant rules? Why do you think they put the Dez Bryant rules on Dez and they're not going to put it on Zeke? I have my own theory to why I feel like they did. They gave Dez Bryant rules and why they're not going to give Zeke his rules. But I want to ask you, why do you think they're not going to give? Why do you think they did not give Ezekiel Elliott his own set of rules in terms of his behavior, of controlling his behavior?
Okay. Now, I listen to everybody. I'm going to try to say this as respectful as I can. Some of y'all just came out and said, and I'm answering your question too, Brian.
Okay.
Someone just came out and said, if this was the first time offense, this is nothing. If maybe he was on a different NFL team like the Cardinals or whatever, this might have been nothing. We understand this. He was innocent the first time. See, we keep forgetting that.
What was the first time? What did he do the first time? I forgot.
Let me finish. The first time the NFL came out, had hired. We're going to hire somebody with experience. We're not going to touch him. Whatever she says, we're going to do. The result was he's innocent. That's what it was. Oh, listen, sweetie. We know he's innocent, but, you know, if we suspend him, maybe the other players will get the hint. So I have to just basically I have to ignore what you're saying, okay? Thank you. That's what happened. Now, if we know he's innocent, now here's the thing. Dez Bryant's situation compared to Zeke, Dez Bryant coming up in the NFL they didn't have parenting. Do we understand that Jerry Jones was giving Dez Bryant an allowance how to spend his money?
Yeah.
So Dez Bryant, understand that Dez Bryant was homeless in college. Homeless in college. He didn't have parenting. So when you have a kid like that, you're going to make a lot of poor choices. You got to be very sensitive. You got to be very patient. When it comes to Zeke and Dez are two different things. Zeke has parents, beautiful parents. He basically, he spoil you. He is spoil you. The problem is with Zeke is that when you take a sip of something, you forget where the fuck you at. That's the problem. He wants to party all the time.
Okay, Tim, can I interrupt you really quick?
That's why I want to give him the Dez treatment.
Let me interject really quickly, though. So you're saying there's a correlation between Dez not having parents and Zeke having parents. That's what's pretty much determining their decision making.
Because of course, because Des Bryant handled himself in a different way.
But Tim, there are
you remember the club? You remember the clubs?
Remember the clubs? It's hard for me to kind of agree with you with that because I think common sense is. I don't think it can be taught. I think you can be molded into. I have this conversation a lot, right? As somebody in education working with kids, I don't know if common sense can be taught or not. That's the debate that's going on right now. I just don't think one of the issues with Zeke is he could be spoiled. He could be spoiled, but I don't necessarily believe. I can't really buy that. The reason why Jerry Jones gave Dez Bryant rules just because he didn't have parents.
No. I don't mean that.
No, I know what you're saying.
No, I don't mean he didn't have parents. No.
They both don't have great common sense.
No,
that's just the problem with both of them.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't about just parents. It was a thing where they saw. Remember, there's a lot of things they saw in him that we don't see. They already know this kid here. He needs basically a mentor. He needs somebody to watch him. X, Y, and Z. It's character.
Dez
no, it's about Dez.
Zeke.
It's about Dez.
Okay, but Zeke.
Now here's the thing with Zeke. See you. And I'm gonna respect you for this, Brian. I'm gonna give you credit for this. See, Brian, in your profession, what you do, that's what Zeke needs.
What does he need?
That's what Zeke needs. Somebody professional to talk about. Listen, do you understand what you do for a living? Do you understand that every move you make?
Right.
It's more of counseling.
You're right. But
Tim, but
do you really believe that Zeke hasn't been given that yet?
I don't know. Listen,
Tim.
Jason, hold on 1 second.
Listen, when you're spoiled,
I guarantee you
can't say that.
At this point, I can. I feel like
we really can't. We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know.
99.9% sure that Ezekiel Elliott has been given this talk you're talking about. He should be given. Do you know what you can lose? Do you know what you're worth? Do you know what you can throw away with your decision making? I get that. But hold on. At the end of the day, Tim, Ezekiel Elliott is immature, like Jason said. He's very immature.
I agree.
Right? He's very immature, and he's somebody that I just feel like here's why I feel like the Cowboys are not going to put Dez rules on a Zeke, right? And you guys can agree with me or not. Here's what I think. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys see as much value in Ezekiel Elliott as they did Dez Bryant because of the position he plays.
What?
That's just
what?
Hold on, wait a minute. The reason why I say that is because I've been saying this for a while. They're not going to pay Ezekiel Elliott. I've been saying that for a while. They're not going to pay Ezekiel Elliott. As far as I know, they paid Dez Bryant after the Dez rule or before the Dez rules, right? Did they not? They paid him, right?
They paid him, yeah.
They paid him. Okay, so they had to protect him. They paid this guy, right? So they had to protect him. And Tony Romo was pretty much, because Tony Romo was the number one receiver at the time, right? They are not going to pay Ezekiel Elliott. If they knew that they were going to bring back Zeke for big money, do you really believe they would let him go out and do all this other BS like he's doing every single summer? They wouldn't. And look, here's my last thing I'll say about
every summer. This guy's making a mention.
Wait. Ezekiel Elliott, since he's been in the league, has had an incident pretty much every single summer.
You know what? Hold on. Let me one incident after incident. Let's go. One.
I'll let you know.
One. No, I don't want to hear all. I want to know now. One at a time. One incident at a time. He walked into a place where they smoke cigarettes. Are you fucking kidding me? Are we joking? That's a crime?
It's not a crime, Tim. It's not a crime. It's Ezekiel Elliott making bad choices.
Because you walked into a store. Wait.
Walking into a
If you live in the
marijuana
Bronx,
dispensary,
you got 24-hour stores. They got those fucking bombs all over. Are you kidding me?
Tim,
you got guys in the league. So Odell Beckham Jr.
See, here's the problem. Here's the problem with Zeke. People like you.
How did we get the cigarettes exactly?
I don't know. But people like this is what I said. Turn the shit, right? But people like you, Tim, are one of the reasons why Ezekiel Elliott is doing the things he's doing. You're not holding the guy accountable.
No. But you're overdoing it. No, but you're over-characterizing him.
But Tim,
you're over-characterizing. He's a menace.
I'm not. Did I call him a menace?
You said after every offseason, name me an incident one at a time.
You haven't even given me a chance to do that.
All right, I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna take a shot.
I'm saying Zeke has had little incidents. The trip to the Seattle marijuana dispensary, which Jerry Jones was livid about. Hey, Jerry Jones was very upset about it. He's had a couple of fender benders on suspended licenses. He's been in a car accident or a fender bender, whatever you want to call it, with a suspended license. Driving on, like I know these are like little menial things to you because your face is saying that's all he did. But Tim, it's snowball effect. Okay, obviously you mentioned the St. Patty's Day situation with the girl where he exposed the girl's breast, right? I'm not saying that's a huge deal, but I'm saying it's a snowball effect. It's the bad decisions that Zeke is making. And then obviously you have the domestic violence case at Ohio State with his girlfriend, right? Or whatever the hell she was, sex slave, whatever. I don't know. You have that incident, right? You have that's probably one of his biggest things. I think he missed games for that one, I believe, right? I think that's the incident where he missed 6 games for that incident. And then you have this, Tim. You have this incident where he's on camera arguing with his girlfriend, which is not a bad thing. I'm not
arguing with his girlfriend.
Are you listening? I said, which is not a bad thing. Okay, but then he's on camera, which appears to be getting to a confrontation. Whether he pushed the guy, whether the guy flopped. He was obviously drunk. He was obviously drunk, right? Got to his guy's face, and the guy fell. Whether he touched or flopped, it doesn't matter. It was a point that Ezekiel Elliott continues to put himself into these situations that makes him look bad and makes his organization look bad and the NFL look bad. That's why I think the NFL is going to come down hard on him. It's not necessarily he's not breaking the law, or he hasn't like broken the law. He hasn't like done a crime or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is these little things are snowballing, and this is what's going to hurt Zeke in the end of the day. This is why I say he's not going to get paid.
Well,
he's a running back. Now he's a running back with little or tiny little things that keep snowballing into bigger things.
But Brian, here's my problem.
Uh-huh.
In the NFL, he never committed domestic violence.
Tim,
this issue was hold on.
I didn't say he. Okay,
but here's my thing. If he would have repeatedly had an issue with a female, I'm more different than that because now this is repeated with a female. My thing is this.
But he has had.
No. He hasn't.
He exposed those breasts. What are you talking about?
No, Brian, hear me out. Again, when that incident was in college. In college, you brought it to the NFL. My opinion is this: the NFL didn't do that to Tyreek Hill. They didn't bring that incident to here. They didn't bring that incident. What happened to the running back in Bengals to here to NFL? They did it to Zeke. So what you did was you with Zeke was because you wear a fucking star in your helmet, and no matter if the Cowboys are 5-11, they 1-15, whatever. They make headlines. So by us suspending one of their best players, they felt that it's gonna go across to everybody. That's what the fuck happened. Let's just keep
all
that.
Right, boys.
No, hold on, Sam. Hold on. Give me 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
Nah, bro. Damn.
So when it comes to this, even Goodell came out and said, "I'm going to hire somebody to say, hey, what the ruling is." She said innocent. NFL said, "Fuck that. We can suspend Zeke." Now, going forward, I do agree when he pulled that girl's top, even though she was a girlfriend, it's still wrong. It's still wrong. But the thing is this: in
Excuses for this
Vegas.
guy, man.
It's not like he's
Excuses.
walking around
Yeah, we're
starting
just
problems. I understand he got
So
put in
many excuses for this.
we're just
guy, man.
tiptoeing around immoral shit
Oh,
right now.
It's just
Brian,
excuses.
Let's
I'm
bring it to another. It's already been 40 minutes on Zeke pulling down titties and penis gun. So let's get into the next topic, fellas,
get
because
into
we
the
still
next
got
topic.
one more topic and
We
we still
do.
got our fucking over-unders to do. All right?
Let's get
A lot
it.
of
Let's get
energy. Let's bring this into Donovan
Go a little
McFlab,
warm up.
as Mr. Fogmeg likes to call him. Now, Mr. McNabb has been blabbing himself over the airwaves. I don't know if he's getting lonely. He's not getting enough attention. Maybe he's feeling forgotten. But Mr. McNabb feels that he belongs in the Hall of Fame when he compares himself to Troy Aikman. He's a stats guy. I know in 4QQ, we love our stats. We love our numbers. We just saw right now, we were talking about Romo Roethlisberger, what was posted in 1 minute, all PFR stats. Gotta love it. So Mr. McNabb does the same thing. He's putting his little PFR stats up there, and he thinks he belongs in the Hall of Fame based on his numbers and I guess his accolades. Does he have accolades? Maybe. So, fellas, this is where the quarrel comes in. Do you agree with Mr. McNabb? Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? I'll let you guys go at it.
no.
I actually want to go. I wanted Steven to go first because he's the Eagles guy. So I kind of want to hear from him first.
Let's hear what Fogman had to say.
Oh my God, put me on the spot, huh?
Fogman
All right.
speaking.
You're an Eagles guy, man.
Here's the thing. First of all, we always talk about I'm actually in the process because of Brian and because of Tim adding, if you will, evolve in my Fogometrics to add qualitative information.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm doing it through quantitative research.
Okay.
So here's my issue with what Donovan said. Number one, shut up, you damn choke. You threw up your Chunky's Campbell soup in the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear shit from you. But second of all, you can't compare yourself to Troy Aikman. It was two different eras that you guys played in. And as my research is going right now in applying that quantitative information, I'm finding that you can't compare, again, the 90s directly with the 2000s. You can't take the quarterbacks from now and yesteryear, put the stats up and say this guy's better, because guess what? 60% of the quarterbacks in the NFL right now are going to the Hall of Fame if that's what we decide to do, which is stupid. So you got to compare it in a breakdown of where they rank statistically during their eras. And Troy Aikman, regardless of his numbers, is winding up ranking in the top 10 on a consistent basis based on what I'm pulling from. So at a glance, without having pulled any of the data, because I've got numbers freaking running across my face at this point like it's the Matrix. And from 2000 to 2009, which basically encompasses 90% of Donovan McNabb's career, I'll pose this to you guys. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Kurt Warner, Drew Brees. 5 best quarterbacks of that decade, hands down, correct?
I can get with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then your guys who you can make cases for are Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, and Tony Romo.
Bingo.
Now that's 8 quarterbacks. Let me explain to you the 5 quarterbacks that you can put in a revolving door at those last 2 spots at top 10.
All right.
Matt Hasselbeck, Trent Green, Steve McNair,
Okay.
Dante Culpepper, and Donovan McNabb.
Oh.
And that's just off regular season statistics. Now, Donovan was a more successful player from getting to the playoffs aspect and eventually getting to a Super Bowl. So you would probably put McNabb at 8 or 9. Off of the quarterbacks that I just listed, Ben Rivers and Romo, in my opinion, are suspect Hall of Famers. I don't know if they should be in, considering where they're at. just in that decade alone. So if I'm considering them to be questionable, there's no way in hell Donovan McNabb has a leg to stand on to sit down and say he's in the Hall of Fame because his stats are better than Troy Aikman's. That's nonsense. So no. Now, I defer to my research just in case I have to flip-flop, but I'm probably 99.9% sure I won't have to flip-flop.
Well, I just want to say this. Yes, I am a Cowboy fan. I'm not hating. I've always said I was at the draft when McNabb got drafted. I was in that crowd when the Philadelphia Eagles, when they drafted him, the Eagles fans went nuts, saying it was booing him, disrespecting him, and it was discussed. Listen, if the words were heard in this era right now, people would throw up for the things the Eagles fans were saying about their franchise quarterback. They actually wanted Ricky Williams at Madison Square Garden. I was there live. But going forward, I've always said if McNabb was on a different NFL team, like the Dallas Cowboys, the New England Patriots, the Colts, you know, the organizations that will go hard and get their quarterback the type of players they need for them to succeed and go on to the next level and bring that trophy back. Excuse me, even Pittsburgh. Okay, I know Brian's looking at me with that eye. So with that being said, McNabb was talented, but he landed on the Eagles. Now with the Eagles, they basically won the division, I believe, about 3 or 4 in a row before even Tony Romo and Eli got on their teams. They had the best record in the NFC conference. They've been to 4 NFC championship games 4 times. I believe they had 3 at home and 1 on the road, which was against the Cardinals. And 4 times, but only 1 time to the championship. 1 time. 4 times you're there, 1 time to the championship. I'm getting sick and tired of Eagles fans claiming that McNabb didn't have this, he didn't have that. You had a 1,000-yard receiver in Terrell Owens. You had a 1,000-yard receiver in Deshaun Jackson, a 1,000-yard receiver in Kevin Curtis, okay, who was a 3rd receiver with the Rams, okay? My thing is this, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you're good enough to go 12-4 and 13-3, if you're good enough to get there and host to go to the championship, you're good enough to be there. I've seen fans compare McNabb to Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly went 4 in a row to the Super Bowl. 4 in a row. But he played the strong NFC East those 4 times. And they were a very good team. McNabb, listen, I understand quarterbacks don't play defense, but Jake Delhomme, Brad Johnson, Kurt Warner on the new Arizona Cardinals team, and when Kurt Warner went to the Cardinals team, that proved how good he was, because the Cardinals offense was nowhere near that Rams offense, nowhere near.
He lost to Warner twice, by the way.
Thank you, Brian. Look at that. So thank you. That says it right there. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If McNabb was on a different organization with his talent level that I think he has, that I believe he has, he would have, trust me, he would have been one of the best. But because you're on the Eagles, they settled at that time for what they had. But it got you right there at the doorstep. At the freaking doorstep. All you had to do was open that door and walk right in. Y'all lost. And a lot of those games, except that one Cardinals game, a lot of those games was McNabb throwing interceptions. Especially that Panthers game. That Panthers game. You know, and so again, to compare himself to Troy Aikman in a different era, why McNabb didn't compare himself to Kurt Warner, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Tony Romo, guys who play in his era? You know, first of all, Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame. Why he didn't compare himself to Kurt Warner? No, what you want to do is go to a quarterback in a different era, knowing you had more yards in them. McNabb, you could go to 1960. You're going to have more yards in those quarterbacks as well. You're in the passing era, damn it. You're in the passing era. You're going to have more yards and more stats.
Tim, who hurt you?
Nobody hurt me. Listen. Again, I'm going to say right now, if McNabb was on a different organization with his talent level that I know he has, he would have been one of the greats.
You can't say that because you just knocked everything about him on the offensive side, saying he had these great offensive weapons.
I didn't say that.
You had a running game that didn't even crack the top 10 in his entire career. You mentioned 1,000-yard receivers and how he had support. And now you're saying, well, if he was on a different organization, they would have had success. He would have been a great quarterback. Stop it. You were good before you started talking about that. I was with you, Tim. I was with you.
No, Fockman, if you want me to explain those 1,000-yard receivers, I can explain.
I don't. I really don't. I want to hear what Brian and Jason
No. Damn it. You're not going to interrupt me, damn it. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you the last words, damn it. Again, he had T.O. that one season, that championship run. That was him. Now, Kevin Curtis, Deshaun Jackson, yes, he had players there in his time. Don't get me wrong. Listen, you had him there. He didn't win that. But all I'm saying is this. Had he been on different organizations, he would have had more. Because, again, the Philadelphia Eagles at that time with Joe Banner, they just settled. That defense was great for Philadelphia. You know that, led by Brian Dawkins. That defense was great. But all I'm saying is this. If you're good enough to go 12-4 and 13-3, you're good enough to open up that door and at least go to the championship. I'm not saying about winning it, at least going to the championship. Like Jim
well,
Kelly
Tim,
did.
in my opinion, if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, you should have at least come away with one. If you remember that fucking decade stretch of McNabb, that fucking, I hated facing the Eagles because the defense was so damn good. Yes. Consistently every fucking year they were good. And if you look starting in the year 2000, this is Donovan McNabb's defense in terms of points allowed for the defense. Their defense starting in 2000 points allowed was the number 4. In 2001, they were number 2. Yes. In 2002, they were number 2. In 03, they were number 7. In 04, they were number 2 again. You had a couple bumps in the row with it being the 27th and then the 15th defense. But then again, right after that, a couple seasons at number 9 and number 4.
Right.
You know, can almost I would say an average besides those 2 seasons, you pretty much average the top 5, top 6.5 defense during those years. And it's pretty sad that, you were either 1-1 or a couple of seasons in the playoffs at 2-1 record. And then, like you said, that Panthers lost. But if you're a Hall of Fame quarterback, would you not at least have one fucking Super Bowl under your belt with defensive rankings like that?
But see, you know what it is? I don't want viewers to think because I'm a Cowboy fan that I'm trying to disrespect McNabb. I'm not. I believe if McNabb was on a different organization,
no, of course not,
that he would have been one of the greats. He would have been. But the thing is, I'm saying also is that you can't. If you have a 12-4 record, 13-3, and you're right there at the doorstep, you're good enough to at least attend the championship those 4 times, at least 3 out of the 4. You only went 1 time. And on top of that, if you look at the season numbers compared to the playoffs, his numbers dipped. Compared to what Troy Aikman's numbers went up. Troy Aikman had to be that quarterback that Fogman and his Fogman system, who I really support. Basically, it shows during the season he was carried a little bit. I can see that. But during the playoffs, he stepped up. Playoff is a different game.
Which is why everything you're saying about McNabb being on a different organization, it just doesn't hold any.
It does help a little bit, Fogman. Come on, stop it. Stop it. Behave. I'm sorry, Brian and Jason. I'm sorry.
You want me to go or you want to go, Brian? I'm gonna say no. And one thing I will say that McNabb didn't have, even if you are comparing different eras, I mean, you're saying Steve Young and Trey, but they did have. If you look at the weapons compared to what they had and what he had, they had way superior talent around him than what McNabb had. They did. But I'm looking at his records, and I'm like, if you are the franchise quarterback of your team, I'm looking at his records, and it's just up and down like every season, like 1998 to 2011. He's had he started at 2-4, 11-5, 11-5, 7-3, 12-4, 13-2, 4-5. From 2005 to 2008, it was just not. I mean, it was okay. I mean, he had some days where he's injured, but it's just inconsistent with his QB record. And I know he's like statistically he's got better numbers, but I just feel like given the circumstance, also too, Tim brought up a good point. It's like you're coming up with those quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Kurt Warner. Those guys when they were the best, like their best, they had consistent winning seasons. I just think that McNabb, he's inconsistent as far as wins goes. And if you're a Hall of Fame player, like you guys said, you have to be able to win on a consistent basis. And I don't feel like his resume is strong enough. So I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I mean, good numbers for a Topps card, but 6 popular contests is all he's really been to.
Yeah,
that's pretty much all he has on his accolades, and that's one thing I really can't stand is these little Pro Bowl accolades. Just the popularity contests. The All Pros is really what matters.
Yeah, that's
in
what
my
matters.
opinion for the accolades. Yeah. So, Brian, do you have an opinion on McNabb? You want to give real quick?
Yeah, I can give it one quick. I mean, everyone pretty much nailed everything on the head. I mean, I think it's funny because I think everybody's right, and I apologize for my phone. How to charge it.
Oh, you're all good.
I apologize for the view. I think everybody's right. When it comes to McNabb, if you just if you take away his Minnesota and Redskins years, I call those his dead years because he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't have went to those teams anyway. He should have retired an Eagle. But he does have better numbers than Aikman. So when McNabb says my numbers are better, I'm assuming he's just talking about his Philly years compared to Troy's Dallas Cowboys years in the regular season. If you take Troy Aikman's regular season numbers, his 10 years or 11 years in the league from 89 to 2000, and then you take Donovan McNabb's 1999, 2009 when he his 10 years in Philly, they're pretty identical, but I mean you get the slightest of nods to Donovan, but very slight. I mean, they're almost identical. If you're looking at touchdowns, McNabb threw more touchdowns. He threw the ball more. I believe McNabb threw less. Yeah, McNabb threw less interceptions. So McNabb can make the argument that he's more efficient. I guess you can say he didn't throw as many. Even though he threw the ball more, and he threw less interceptions. So there's that for McNabb. But I think when you're judging Donovan McNabb, and I just looked through everything, I saw his NFC title game numbers. I saw who he went up against. I think you're gonna have to and have no choice to judge McNabb based off of his player performances and based off of his ability to get to the Super Bowl. Because I think if you base it off his regular season statistics, they're not gonna be as you really can't do that because everyone has pretty much said it. McNabb was, I don't want to say he was carried by his defenses because there were some games with McNabb won games. He won football games for those teams.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say he was carried like he was a game manager for 11 years. Can't say that much, but he did have the benefit of having those defenses, of having a guy like a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. They having a guy like Brian Dawkins, Hugh Douglas, all these guys, all these great Eagles, defensive players. He had Brian Westbrook. And Brian Westbrook, despite his injury issues, was one of the most prolific all-purpose backs in the game at that point. So he did have that weapon. People tend to forget Brian Westbrook. He had that as a weapon. I know you have a lot of
accounted for about 9% of his total touchdowns. Westbrook.
I'm not even going to sit here and say McNabb had receivers because if anybody ever says, you said Kevin Curtis, for God's sake, Tim, give the guy a break.
No.
I know just wait a minute. I know what you're saying. Okay, he had 1,000-yard receiver.
Here comes the eras.
Fine. No, I'm not talking about any errors. I'm just saying.
No, I know Tim is though to defend his Aikman.
Yeah.
No. I'm not. See,
McNabb didn't have any receivers. He had Terrell Owens. He had Deshaun Jackson. I think Deshaun Jackson was a rookie before McNabb even left. I think he had for like 1 year or maybe 2 years. With Deshaun Jackson. About 2 years, right? So
not even.
He was like towards the 2 or 3.
McNabb was on his third year.
Okay, let's just say.
He's on the third year. He's on his fourth year.
Who?
I'm sorry.
You talking about Deshaun?
No, I'm talking about McNabb and T.O. You said T.O., correct?
No, I said Deshaun.
Oh, he had Deshaun towards the end of his career for 2 years.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm saying is, basically what I'm saying, that Donovan didn't have any weapons. He didn't have a plethora of weapons like Troy Aikman had. You can't deny that.
I'm not denying that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is the reason why it's tough because I go back and forth. I'll say this: the reason why I think Donovan should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not saying first ballot. I'm not sure. Has he even had a chance to get in yet? I'm not really sure.
Nah, he's 2 years.
Not yet.
He's away.
So
2 years away already.
I don't think he's going to get in the first ballot, but the reason why I think he should eventually get in, hopefully, is because of how integral and how important he was to those Eagle football teams with his leadership, with his ability to make plays with his feet, with his ability to win ball games when it came down to it. He had to win games. Like, you know who Donovan McNabb could be? You know who he could really be? Like he's almost like Russell Wilson is almost like the Donovan McNabb of this era. And I say that because Russell. I say that because Russell
Love that.
for a while was carried by the Seattle Seahawks. But Russell has proven that he can win without all-time defense. Something that Donovan just could not do. His defense is not all-time his whole career.
Okay, Brian, I love Brian. Brian, I want to give you a hug. I know I can't give you a hug, but I want you to stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there. You just said it. Russell Wilson proved with a top defense he can do it. Right? Not only that, even when the defense just went away, he still carried the whole team to the playoffs. Russell Wilson carried last year's team to the playoffs. There's no LOB over there. McNabb, just not only that, the way the team did him, they traded him away. They had for Kevin Cobb. They saw no value left in him.
Time to move on.
No, but see, they gave up. They already knew. Now, again, I will always say if McNabb was on a different organization, in my opinion, I would see things differently. But the thing is, and he was the weapon. He was. Brian hit it. Brian is not lying. McNabb was the most important piece on that whole Eagles team. But there's a but in this. In my opinion, if McNabb was to compare himself to a player in Aikman's era, why he didn't mention Dan Marino? Dan Marino has no ring, but see, Dan Marino has stats.
I think what Donovan McNabb was saying is they have very similar stats, but they have different situations. And what Donovan is saying is with I know they have very similar stats, and I mean their eras are a little different, but they're not too far from each other. But what I'm saying is, I think what Donovan is saying is, hey, I have very similar stats to Troy Aikman, right? I have very similar stats to Troy Aikman, and I didn't have as much help on the offensive side of the football.
But you know, Brian,
I don't think Donovan McNabb will ever admit that he didn't have help defensively, because I'll be a lie.
But how about your boy, Brian? How about your boy Elway? Look at your boy Elway. You made a great point. You made some good points a couple of weeks ago. Elway didn't have a lot of weapons on offense. Okay. He had a defense. He went to 2 Super Bowls before Terrell Davis got there.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. McNabb was there 4 times at the door. All you had to do was open that door and step right in.
I can't even. Like I said, if you don't want to put McNabb in the Hall of Fame, I won't. I won't even debate you. I would put him in based on his importance and based on his statistics and based on him at least getting to the game. I know he flopped 4 times, 5 times, whatever you want to say it.
That's acceptable.
But at least he got there, and he was a huge
This is what I'll say though.
He got there.
You don't put exceptions in the Hall of Fame, or else you'll end up with a Hall of Fame of exceptions.
That's true. Okay, and I'm okay with that.
I'll say it is. If Tony Romo gets in, and I don't want no Cowboys fans getting mad at me. If Tony Romo goes in, McNabb needs to go in.
If Tony Romo gets in, Eli Manning goes in.
No, Eli Manning's
Phillip
already
Rivers
in.
goes in.
Eli's already in.
He
Eli's
shouldn't
already
be.
As a Giants fan,
shouldn't
the
be.
only thing that's putting him in is the 2 accolades. Well, the 4 accolades
Ben
together.
Roethlisberger
Right.
goes in. You might as well throw Matt Ryan
Whoa,
in, Matt Stafford in. Hey, let's throw Vinny. Let's throw Vinny Testaverde in too. Shit.
Big Steven, hold on, time out. Big Ben's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Big Ben's,
No, he's
Big
not.
Ben,
One of the
toughest
toughest SOBs to ever play this
I
game.
disagree with that.
What?
Big Ben's a Hall of Fame.
Why isn't Big Ben a Hall of Fame?
Big Ben's a Hall of Fame.
He's
Big Ben's a Hall of
probably
Fame.
going in. Yeah.
Big Ben's definitely Hall of Fame, right?
That'll be a discussion for another show.
Oh, metrically speaking, he's definitely
we
in.
gotta move on after Fog may open some can of shit. Okay, no, we can move on. But you know
Let's
what?
move on.
Ooh, yo, everybody's thinking.
Hot takes. We got 2 hot takes so far. Wow.
Big Ben not a Hall of Famer.
Big Ben,
Oh my goodness.
Yo,
Gracious.
I counted 2 hot takes so far, fellas. 2 hot takes.
What does Fogametrics have to say about this bullshit?
Wow. First, Brian said Cowboys don't think Zeke is important enough, and now Fogman said Ben's not a Hall of Fame. That's 2 hot takes.
Wait, what I say about Cowboys?
Cowboys what?
Said the Cowboys don't view Zeke Elliott as important as they did Dez Bryant. I disagree with that.
Oh my
you
God.
The problem is Dez Bryant.
I said.
Wait, what did you say? I'm sorry.
You know, I said that. Jason.
Energy check.
I said that because I said that because the Cowboys paid Dez Bryant. Like they paid him, so they had to protect him. They paid
No.
Let me ask you this, Brian. Who
They protected him before.
in terms of Dak Prescott? Hold on, Tim. Who's more important to Dak Prescott's advancement, Zeke Elliott or Dez Bryant?
Who's more important to Dak Prescott's success?
Well, Dez Bryant was for 20 Romo. No, but Dez was for 20 Romo.
Well, Dez had a couple of years with
only
1 year.
only had 2 years.
They didn't mesh. Like
it wasn't
gonna work.
Right.
So I can't.
Never mind.
so
But anyways, never mind. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I mean, Zeke Elliott is not important to Dak's development.
I would never
I disagree with that.
But look, what did the Cowboys go out and do to support Dak Prescott?
Right. I see what you said. They got Amari Cooper, but
Right.
I'm saying
no.
And they're gonna. I guarantee you. You guys can record this. They will pay Amari Cooper before they pay Zeke Elliott.
Of course.
I'm not saying Zeke
No, Brian's right. No, Brian is right.
I disagree with that.
They will pay Amari.
That's fine.
But here's the reason though. You pay Amari Cooper now, you get $7 million back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why you got to pay Amari Cooper now.
You get a mail-in rebate?
Yeah, you get a mail-in rebate. You get a mail-in rebate free of charge, and you get vote over minutes by paying Amari Cooper now.
I would do that shit right now.
So from a financial standpoint, and maybe I'm talking about from a X's on football.
You don't have to pay Zeke now. Zeke, you got obviously you got 2. You got this year. You got this. You can pay Zeke next year. You got to pay Zeke now.
But I'm not talking about financial standpoint. I'm talking about from an X's on a pure football standpoint. Zeke Elliott is more important to Dak than Amari Cooper, in my opinion.
You're right.
In my opinion.
You know what?
Think about what Eli. Think about how great Eli's been with Saquon Barkley. Right? They had no reason. They really didn't. I mean,
look,
think about how good Saquon's been to.
Jason, I'm asking you a question right now. Here's in Fog. I'm jumping in the little Fog and metrics here. Here's the thing.
I knew what you meant, Jason. Not great, but I knew what you meant.
The reason why I'm gonna say Amari Cooper is more important to Dak than Zeke right now is because how the Dallas Cowboys draft. See, this year you have depth at the running back position. Last year you really didn't. I'm not saying anybody. You could run a committee and still be productive in the running game more than the passing game.
Exactly.
If you take away Zeke right now, you can go with Weber and Pollard. If you take away Amari Cooper, who's the number 1 receiver? Michael Gallup's only in second year. Hearns is a number 2 receiver. You got nothing but inexperienced receivers after that. With Zeke, see again, the running game situation, you can let go Zeke. So I'm not. I see what Brian's not wrong.
I see where Jason's come from too.
Wait, hold on.
Zeke is the best back on. He's the best, one of the best backs in football. He could be potentially the best, right? But Jason, you have to understand where the league is going. You have to understand how the Cowboys are thinking. think about it. Before Zeke Elliott, do you know who the last 1,000-yard running back for the Dallas Cowboys was?
Actually,
From the
I actually
Raiders.
know.
From the
Actually, no, I
Raiders.
know.
His ex-Raider, Darren McFadden.
Darren
Oh,
Fanatics.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Darren
gonna say when he subbed
McFadden
in. Yeah.
he ran for, I believe, what, Tim, 1,200 yards that year?
1,200.
Right? And then Zeke obviously came in, insert Zeke ran for 1,600 behind that line. The whole rest
See,
is history,
Zeke
right?
Elliott was for Tony Romo.
But let me.
Zeke Elliott was for Romo. That too. Tim. I was about to say that Zeke Elliott was for Tony Romo, but then who went down that year? Tim. Tony
Romo.
Right?
Here's where this.
Go ahead. Think about it, Jason. When Dak was struggling, who was getting pointed the finger?
Well, it was. I mean,
Who
he
got
was.
run out of town?
I mean, Des Bryant. I mean,
and then who did they bring in?
But hold on. Hold on. They brought in Amari Cooper. But hold on.
How did the things turn out when they brought in Amari Cooper? I'm not saying
The 9 games. Amari Cooper was the best receiver in the NFL. The 9 games.
Does not have an effect on Dak. Of course, Zeke Elliott would have an effect on any quarterback in the league. What I'm saying is the way the Cowboys are viewing the way I think they're viewing Ezekiel Elliott by not protecting this guy the way they protected Des Bryant, right? By putting Des rules around Zeke Elliott, is that they're saying, you know what? I don't really see, because the way Zeke is going, this guy he's headed for a long-term suspension. I'm gonna say right now, he's headed that way now, and they know that.
Listen, I understand. Oh, okay, we got to go to the over and unders. We could continue this conversation later, but let's hold off on this for a sec. Let's go to the over unders.
Okay.
Because I disagree, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And you're right.
Me and Brian agree. This is an epic moment. Me and
We'll
Brian
talk about this later.
But they didn't even DeMarco Murray.
No, hold on. But me and Brian agreed to. Holy shit!
Like Jason, they let DeMarco Murray walk.
We agreed. No, Brian
Murray almost ran for 2,000 yards, 27, and then he had a bad year in Philly, but then he had a resurgence here in Tennessee. So he wasn't. It wasn't like DeMarco was like on the decline. They just didn't want to sign him because he's a running back.
They didn't do him like that.
All right, boys. We'll meet Jason Wishes and get into this over on.
I'll get back to you on that later.
For QQ after hours.
After hours, yes.
Holy shit! Me and Brian the same pace today.
All right, audience. If you're still sticking around, we appreciate it. Thank you for sticking through our blabbing and our choral, and this is how we are all the time. But we're about to get into the AFC South. So let's start off with the Texans. Very first one I got for you fellas tonight is Deshaun Watson having 4,300 passing yards this season. In my opinion, the 8.3 and the 8.2 yards per attempt that Watson has displayed the past couple of seasons, that's going to be difficult to sustain, guys. I think he's going to take a handful of yardage in the run game as well, and that's going to take overall his passing yards number. But I think the world of Russell Wilson, and even in 7 seasons, he hasn't had over 4,300 yards. So even with Deshaun, I'm going to take the under.
Well, Sim, DeAndre Hopkins, Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm taking the over. Deshaun Watson has a QBR rating of 103.1. Straight QBR for his first 2 years. Last year he was injured because of his offensive line. They kind of tweaked it a little bit to improve it. I believe this season he's going to have a breakout year. I wouldn't be surprised if he reached close to 5,000.
Ooh.
Over.
Oh, that's big boy noise. Wow.
Over. Oh, you said almost 5,000? Okay. I was going to go over 2.
3 hot takes.
Because I honestly didn't even realize that, what's this guy's name? Deshaun Watson raised his completion percentage 7%, which is really impressive. I'm gonna go over just slightly though. I'm gonna say he's gonna get about 4,400 because I think they're gonna throw the ball a lot. I'm the only thing I worry about with Deshaun is the offensive line. And I've been saying for a while, if the Houston Texans can shore up that offensive line, the Houston Texans would be a huge threat in the AFC because Deshaun Watson is a big time quarterback. I hate to say that because with the Clemson, and I can't stand the Clemson, but he's a big time quarterback. So I'm gonna go ahead and say over based on just his trajectory is on the up.
I'm gonna say over as well, and then Brian hit on some things that I want to talk about. I mean, last season he had 505 passing attempts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the offensive line is my only question, and I also want to say too, if Will Fuller can stay healthy for 16 games, I think that brings another aspect,
mm-hmm.
To that passing game. Another issue that I have too is I have an issue with I don't know if they did enough for that running game. If he becomes too pass oriented, I don't know if that's really good for Deshaun Watson. I mean, I'm not really sure. So, but I think if he can stay healthy and they protect him, and Will Fuller stay healthy and they can protect him. I think he will get barely 1,400, slightly over. So I'm gonna go over.
Okay, so on average over the last 7 seasons, there's been about 6 to 7 quarterbacks that get above 4,300 yards passing. Last season there was 8. Now we all agree that. Well, no, we didn't all agree. But some of y'all said that Tom Brady's going over 4,300 yards passing. Certain BWO members in here said Baker Mayfield's going over 4,300 yards passing. Well, we've got Ben Roethlisberger, who went over 4,300 yards passing last year for only the second time in the last decade. We've got Patrick Mahomes, Matt Ryan, who has done it consistently in the last 6 years. Only one season was he under 4,300 yards. Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers, that guy Tom Brady again, Phillip Rivers. Are we saying Deshaun Watson is going to be able to put himself in there? Are we saying that there's going to be possibly 10 quarterbacks this season that throw for over 4,300 yards? To that, I say no. And to Deshaun Watson throwing for over 4,300 yards, I also say no. Because they're going to have to run the ball. And unfortunately, with Deshaun Watson, he was the most sacked quarterback last season. And that's not going to change. That man's going to be running for his life. And he's going to have to run the ball more. They don't have a running back over there that's going to take the pressure off of him. So everybody knows he's going to be throwing the ball. And that 7% increase in his completion percentage is unfortunately going to drop a bit. He get close to 4,300, but I'm taking the under.
I like it. In-depth stats right there. Let's move it on to the next one. 2nd out of 3 for the Texans is going to be Will Fuller having 900 receiving yards this season. I'm going to keep this one simple, sweet, and short. Will Fuller finally stays healthy. He reels in 67 catches for 957 yards. Put it in the books. He gets the over in this son of a bitch.
Shim, I agree. Listen, I got to back up my statement about the Deshaun Watson hitting almost close to 5,000. He's going to need a little bit more than Hopkins. Will Fuller will stay healthy, and he was having a great year last season. So before that injury late in the season. So, yeah, I'm going with the over.
I'm gonna go over as well. I mean, just because I say he's gonna go 1,400 yards, and looking at their team, who else did they have besides Deshaun Watkins and Will Fuller? So I mean, Will Fuller's gonna get a lot of targets. He's gonna get a lot of targets. They may have 2,000-yard receivers. So I'm definitely gonna take over.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Man, Will Fuller's health is everything, as you guys have all pointed out. Love the guy coming out of Notre Dame, but. I'm gonna. Is it 900? We said. I'm gonna say over. 900 or 950. I'm sorry.
900.
900. I'm gonna say over. I don't think he's gonna hit 1,000. I just think he's just one of those guys who's just gonna miss games. Like he just is, and I just think he's gonna miss out on some yards, some games. So I'm gonna say like 905, honestly, like barely over. He's just gonna miss games. He's a big play ready to happen, just like Hopkins, but it's gonna be close. But yeah, I'm gonna say over. I think he's gonna hit it.
Sorry for the negative energy, Will Fuller, if you're watching. Go ahead, Fox.
Well then, damn, he's not gonna like what I gotta say.
Oh shit! Mute your mic, Will.
I'm taking the under. He's been averaging 47 yards per reception. I did 47 yards per reception, yards per game. And last season he was averaging 71. Realistically, that's not going to be sustainable. And if he averages 50 yards per game and he plays a full 16 games, he's not going to get over 900. So I'm going to take the under on the sheer fact that I don't believe he's going to go for more than 55 to 60 yards per game, and he's not going to play more than 11 or 12 games.
Yeah.
Next one, fellas, is J.J. Watt having 14.5 sacks. Now, guys, we've been talking about J.J. Watt being the best player in the NFL, and it was up until the injury-plagued years of 16 and 17 that, it started to fall off and we took the label off of him. But he's a monster. Anything short of double-digit sacks we really haven't seen besides those injury-plagued seasons or his rookie year. But the back is a different type of beast. But so is JJ. The fan in me hopes he's getting healthier every day rather than declining or not being able to get over that ailment. But I really believe that him just being a monster, he'll be able to produce another 16, 17 sack season this year and build that consistent resume. I'm taking the over on this, actually.
I think it's. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
No, I'm taking under. There's no Clowney. I'm sorry that who's the next pass rusher to really step in there and get double digits. So under.
I was gonna go. Man, I know it's. I'm gonna go under too, but I still think he's gonna have a very effective season. I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna say he's gonna have maybe 12 and a half, 13, maybe. I think the loss of Clowney is gonna hurt him. And his irony is that was supposed to help him stay healthy and help him get those one-on-ones, but now Clowney's leaving. And it's funny because they were having actually a good season together, so it's kind of sucks for Watt because Clowney wants to leave now, or he's on the block or whatever. I'm gonna go under though. I'm gonna go under 14.5.
Man, I love JJ Watt. Man, he's like my non-favorite Colt player. But I agree. I agree with Brian and Tim. I think if Clowney leaves, I don't know if it's gonna be a lot of pressure on him. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get that same. He's gonna be productive, but I don't know if he's gonna get 14.5 sacks. So I'm gonna take under.
I'm going to take the over.
Ooh.
And I'm rolling with Josh on this one. And let's think about it. We talk about Clowney, but his first 20 sack season came without Clowney. So
that was when he was like 24.
Let that sink in. I'm not saying he's going to get 20 sacks this season, but I don't see any reason for him not to be able to get to 15 or 16 sacks this season.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Thank you for supporting me, Fox. We're going to move it on to the Colts. Ooh, this would be a good one. And our first one is Andrew Luck having
under
36.5 passing touchdowns. Yeah, he had 639 pass attempts last season, Fox. Do we honestly think he's going to sustain that this season with the young backs having a season under their belt as well? He's still going to have a good season. Jason, don't attack me. But I think the most we see this year from Luck is around the 35 range. I'm taking the under with this one.
Let Jason go do the honors. Go first.
No. You guys go for it because I'm the best for last. You guys go because I got a lot to say on this.
We don't got kind of time though.
Jason, twinkle. I'm saying under. Let me see. Ty, that's okay. Ebron, well, now they sold him last year. I mean, they saw what he did last year. Okay, now you got fun punches. Is that an upgrade? No. I'm going under, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I feel he's still gonna have a good season, but I don't think he will reach that mark. I think it'll go a little bit lower because now, remember, first year under a new system, I think teams will have a whole year, a whole bunch of years to look at the playbook and find out how to control Andrew Luck. So I'm going under.
I'm gonna go under too for the simple fact that I don't even know. It's funny because I'm looking at the numbers of like Andrew Luck's weapons. I don't know where the hell he even got those 39 touchdowns from last year. It's so crazy because T.Y. Hilton is not a double-digit touchdown guy. He's never had one double-digit touchdown season. Not even close, really. So I'm not really sure how Andrew Luck even got 39 last year. I'm gonna say under for the simple fact that I think Andrew's going to be a little more conservative next year. He's not going to pass the ball as much. 639 times, even though his completion percentage went up. I can see him being a little more conservative. I could actually see his TDs dipping, but also his interceptions going down as well, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. So I'm gonna say slightly. It's 36, right? I'm gonna say about 34, but I'm looking for him to cut down those interceptions too. And it looked like he was more conservative last year, but he actually threw the ball a lot too. So that being under Frank Reich's really helping him out. But I'm gonna say under just because I think he's gonna be even more conservative next year.
I fully agree with the under here. It's very hard for quarterbacks to eclipse 36 or 37 touchdowns and above. And if you look at the history, on very rare occasions, you'll have 3 or maybe 4 quarterbacks at best do that. The majority of the time, you'll see 2 or 3 quarterbacks tops eclipsing that mark. And again, it's not like Drew Brees disappeared. It's not like Tom Brady still isn't playing. It's not like Aaron Rodgers still isn't here. And let's face it, when you got guys like Phillip Rivers who can actually eclipse that as well, and guys like Ben Roethlisberger who's going to be playing on a man on a mission this year, and then think about Antonio Brown and what he's going to have to perform, what he's going to have to do basically, and having Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is on the block as well. There's a multitude of guys that could possibly get close or eclipse that. I'm taking the under on Luck just because of what I've seen Frank Reich do in Philadelphia. I think Luck could get close. I wouldn't be shocked to see Luck go for 34 and 11 this season. But I'd say that it's going to be the under.
It's my turn now.
Nah, we're just going to skip over you, Josh. What's the next?
Next
what's
question
the next
is
give me the fun.
Now.
I want the fun question.
Give me the too long didn't read version, Jason.
Listen. I don't think you guys have been paying attention to what Luck's career has been like when he started and to what Luck's career is going right now and his trajectory from where his career is going now.
Drafter, bro, you better watch your words.
Okay, so listen, I hear what you guys are saying about Luck. You know, I mean, he's saying he's gonna be conservative. Brian said he's gonna be conservative, and Brian said, "How did he get 39 touchdowns last year?" Well, I'll tell you why. It's because of the guy that we brought in, and because of the offensive line. Oh, and here is another fact about Andrew Luck. He had, I think, the second highest TD completion rate. I think, inside the red zone. I think Mahomes or somebody was like the first. I could be wrong, but Fog Metrics, look that up. You know, quote me on that. Correct me on that. All right. So why did I bring that stat up? Right? You guys say, who do we have? Okay. We have Jack Doyle coming back, who's healthy. We have Paris Campbell, who is going to be an X factor this offense. We have my boy Fun, right? Just think about the entirety of this team. We have guys. We're the second year in Frank Reich's scheme, right? You saw what he did with Carson Wentz. MVP season almost until he got injured, right? Luck is in the second year. Mac is in his third year in Frank Reich's system, okay? Before when Luck came in, right, he was basically the team. He was basically carrying the team. Now he has a coach who's going to take advantage of his skill set and maximize his ability. And listen, I don't think we've seen the best of Andrew Luck, right? You look at some of the quarterbacks right now, just say that some of the great quarterbacks who've had standout seasons. Luck hasn't had really a standout year yet, right? 7th year in the league. Peyton Manning had a standout year, 2004, 2013, when he threw for 55 touchdowns and like 5,000 yards. Matt Ryan, 2016, 117 QBR rating, right? 38 touchdowns, 69 completion percentage. Tom Brady in 2007, 50 touchdowns, right? Drew Brees had multiple standout seasons. I consider Luck to be up there close with those guys. We haven't seen him at his best, at the peak of his prowess yet, right? He got injured last season, so his time, is kind of prolonged a little bit. He got injured not last season, but a couple years ago. So right,
hey, Jesse. So
hold on. So what I'm saying is that we haven't seen the best of Andrew Luck. No, he's
really
his 7th season. No, we have not. The trajectory of his season, it's coming. It is coming. Okay.
So you're saying we're gonna see better Andrew Luck this year?
What's that? It might be probably be this year or it might be next year. All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, have it that continuity.
Man, when's it gonna come?
It's gonna come this year. I'm telling you, it's gonna come this year, right? And 36 touchdowns. I'm like, really? I feel like that's low. Honestly, I feel like he's gonna have. I feel like the ceiling of this offense is somewhere close to 2004 Colts. I really do.
So I got a question for you.
So
really
I'm gonna
quick,
say
Jason.
over. And
I want a number. Like, how many touchdowns do you think?
How many touchdowns? I'm gonna say roughly like 45 touchdowns.
Woo!
45 touchdowns.
Okay, so
book it. 45 touchdowns.
Hey, Josh, can you put that on a page, please?
Hold on.
Josh.
What is he spewing over here? I'm talking shit about him in the YouTube chat.
45 touchdowns.
I got a question for you, Jason.
Jason is officially drunk.
Let's be honest here.
Oh, I'm sober.
He is drunk.
No more chocolate milkshake for you, Jason. How many touchdowns did you say?
Drunken mind is sober thoughts. Right?
45?
45
45.
This isn't Jackie Chan Drunken Master. Stop it. Cut it out. I got a question. Hold on.
How you guys not see like the trajectory of this team?
First of all, Jason. You said he hasn't had a standout season.
2014.
Do you guys want to finish the over-unders first, or what do you?
Yeah, let's.
I'm not going to say
touchdowns.
We still got
700
yards.
Steven, listen. Hold on a second, you guys. Steven, write down your thoughts so you don't forget it.
I'm glad you brought 2014. I'm glad you did.
This is coming up in 4th quarter after hours. You got to write Steven, Boggs, write your thought down.
I knew he was going to say 2014.
Jason, don't you forget your bullshit in your head. We're coming back to you.
It's still here. Trust me.
Jason,
trust me.
We got two more
Let's go.
And I hope Jason drinks that bullshit that he just said away.
I am gonna drink it.
Jason, we're coming back to you in the after hours. You better not bounce. We're coming.
My energy is strong, man.
Oh, Darius Leonard.
I need a Goku like
Darius
like
Leonard has 98 and a half solo tackles this season, fellas. Now, this guy's a freak for a reason. I compared him stat wise to Roquan Smith because those were the two linebackers I say were the two best coming out of that class. Roquan played all 16 and he had 89 solo tackles, but Leonard, he played in one less game and he amassed 111 by himself. Now, playing all 16 this year, even with the acquisition of Justin Houston, who's not really going to be much of a coverage guy, he's going to be more of a guy that attacks the line. There's no reason I can't see Leonard having 100 solo tackles once again. I'm taking the over. Spoonie.
Listen, I look at Darius Leonard last season. Listen, I put him in the same category as Kuechly, Ray Lewis when he was playing. He's one of the top. So, Brian, you don't have to give me a dirty look with this one. So I'm going with the over. With this, I think he's gonna be a monster this season, and I got to give credit to Brian and Fogman when they was doing the college NFL draft. They pointed this out. This man was about a 4th round pick, third or fourth round pick. We have to give that credit.
South Carolina State.
Right. Yeah, y'all called this one, and so I'm going over. He's going to be a freak this year. They may get clowny, in my opinion.
The only reason why Darius Leonard didn't go to an all-time to a bigger college place was because of grades. That's the only reason why. He would have been at South Carolina or Clemson or Florida State or whatever. This guy's always been a big time. Oh yeah, he's always been a big time player. I'm going way over. I mean, the number is 100, I believe. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going over. He's 111 solo tackles. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I think he's gonna continue to kind of thrive in that offense. He's definitely. I mean, defense. He's definitely the heart and soul.
The line is 98.5. He had 111 last year,
which is insane.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is insane. I think he's gonna go way over. He's a box office player. I love the guy.
It is very rare that we see back-to-back players go over 100 solo tackles.
Yep.
Very, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm an odds man. You guys know me. I always go with the odds. But in this particular case, I'm going against the odds because I think he's that rare of a talent. And I'm taking the over on this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for the under from Jason.
I'm gonna point up. You see that? You see the fingers? You see the fingers? See the maniac? Do the maniac.
What the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, you're drunk as shit right now. Like,
I'm taking over.
He's a cult maniac, dude.
I love it though.
Over. He's a maniac. What's that song? He's a maniac. I'm taking over. Listen, man. Listen. Our defense, Matt Eberflus. I am so happy with Matt Eberflus right now. At first, he pissed me off a little bit last year, but I think we brought in some pieces. Justin Houston's going to play a big part of that. All right. If we get more pressure on the quarterback, just imagine Darius Leonard just flying around the field and making plays. I'm taking over. Easily over.
All
if the Colts don't make the playoffs, we're going to have to put Jason on suicide watch.
No, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm leaving for
Jason might send in a note leaving the show.
I'm leaving the show for a month.
He would be out.
He's sending it 2 weeks notice.
Last one for the Colts, fellas, is Marlon Mack has 14.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Now, this one's tough for me because I like Marlon a lot in Indy, and I think he's going to be a great piece for the Colts for years to come. But just look at Saquon. He was utilized pretty heavily, but you could argue he could have been even used more when he was stifled in hot situations. But even with his Olroy performance, had 11 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns, just putting him over this mark. It's really hard to imagine Mack having that stat line unless they plan on putting Hines in the shed and Luck becomes the type of quarterback to only target 3 players. And hint that he's not that type of quarterback. So I have to take the under on this one.
Go ahead, Tim.
Can't get to the mute fast enough, Spoonie.
No, I'm scared of Jason. Because you know what it is? Jason looks at you like he goes right every time I'm about to speak, he goes,
it's a coincidence, Tim. Don't look too much into it.
He's so eager for your response, Tim. He's a fan, dude.
The only thing I was getting amped about the Andrew Luck, but this is just a coincidence.
I'm going over. I think Marlon Jackson. I think Marlon Mack, had a great year last season. Coming up, he showed some glimpse of being that he could be a top back, like LaShawn McCoy, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go over. I think he will be a point piece for this offense. You okay?
The number is 1,200, right? I'm sorry.
Right. No. 14 and a half total touchdowns.
14 half total touchdowns. Well, last year he had
terrible host,
10.
Brian.
10, my bad. Sorry, I'm trying to do like 2 things at once now. Last year he had 10 total touchdowns. He had 9 on the ground. He had 1 through the air, I believe. I'm gonna 14. I'm gonna go under. I think he's going to be utilized in the passing game a little more than he was last year. I believe they brought in, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they brought in Spencer Ware, right? And I believe Spencer Ware is going to probably take more of a load when it comes to the running game a little more. And I think they're going to flex out Marlon Mack a little more. They're going to try. That's what they did at South Florida a lot. I'm not sure why they're not doing it more in Indianapolis, because he's a good pass catcher. So But I don't think he's going to get 14. 14, that means he would have to rush for double-digit touchdowns again and then catch a few more. And I think he's going to lose some more rushing touchdowns because of Spencer Ware in the goal line situation. So I'm going to say under. I'm going to say he's going to get maybe about 11, 12 total touchdowns. Just based off the personnel.
It is absolutely under. Not even a question.
Yeah.
You want to know why, Jason? Because the same way I knock Andy Reid being an Eagles fan, well, I know what Frank Wright has done as an Eagles fan. And Clement, Sproles, Smallwood. Wait, now you've got Ware, Hines, Wilkins. Yeah, it's going to be running back by committee. It's going to be situational play, which Frank Wright is very good at. And it's going to be the under when it comes to Marlon Mack.
Good observation.
All right, Fabre. I will actually give this to you. I'm gonna take under, but slightly under because we want to make it. We want to make it known that we want to run the football. We're gonna run the football. All right. Frank Wright wants to be a top 5 rushing team this year. All right. So we did bring in Spencer Ware. I mean, you guys are right about that. I think we're gonna be a little more like more of a coming back by committee of rushing attack. So yeah, I'm gonna take under. I'll give it to you guys.
Jason, why every time
Pretty impressed by
say
that.
something, you pull a drink? Yeah. Every time we say something, you pull a drink. It's like
He needs more of that chocolate shit, dude.
I gotta finish this off, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yo, let's move on.
I don't want to go to waste.
We got the Titans, and then we got the Jaguars, fellas. Let's wrap this bitch up. We got Marcus Mariota being our first Titan. Mariota has 3,000 passing yards this season. Now, Corey Davis had 2 solid years under his belt, but they got Adam Humphries in free agency, drafted A.J. Brown in the 2nd round. Mariota should also be getting back his boy Delanie Walker in the fold, his BFF, and then especially if the resurgence of Derrick Henry continues into 2019, there's absolutely no reason Mariota should not have at least 3,500 in my book. Y'all gonna put respect to Mariota's name after this shit. Over. Spoonie, what you got for me, baby?
I'm going under.
Son of a bitch.
The Ryan Tannehill move was basically a sign. I think Mariota has a short leash. Very shortly, if he messes up, because again, he's more of a athletic quarterback than a better quarterback. Like I think Tannehill's a better quarterback than Mariota. Mariota's just a better athlete, and I think that's gonna a short leash in the beginning. If he is not doing what he's supposed to be doing, especially that contract year, Tannehill will get the nod.
Hey, Tim, I want you to drink more when you do the shows because you actually make some very intelligent points. I was actually impressed with that. Not Jay.
Damn, Fox, man, you give it away.
I'm impressed with that observation. I disagree as far as the over/under. I'm going to take the over on that, but I agree with you that Ryan Tannehill is a better pocket passer. He has better pocket presence and awareness as a quarterback than Mariota does. But what the talent around Mariota right now, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to get over 3,000 yards. Even if it's 3,001, he should be able to. If he doesn't get over 3,000 yards with what he's got right now, this is his last season as a starting quarterback in the NFL. Book it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say under 3,500 yards for the simple fact that for the reasons you guys mentioned as well, but I feel like Mike Vrabel is going to want to run the football because I think he's maybe has a running back, maybe in Derrick Henry. I'm not really sure those last, 5-6 games Derrick Henry had were a fluke or this is something that Derrick Henry's finally kind of just figured out, or they kind of figured out how to utilize him better, the former Heisman Trophy winner at Alabama. So I do agree. I don't think he's on a shorter leash as you think, Tim and Fogg. I do agree, Fogbeck. I do think it's crazy because these two guys came in together. I do think him and Jameis Winston are on their last legs as starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I think Mariota's leash is a little longer than Jameis, just based off the field issues and stuff. I don't know how much of a threat Ryan Tannehill is to take Mariota's job. I just think that they have such similar skill sets. I think if Mariota goes down, which is almost always guaranteed to happen, he's never played a full season. They have somebody named Ryan Tannehill who's smart and who's probably just as athletic, and it's pretty much the same player. So you're not really missing a beat when it comes to if Mariota goes down. So that's the reason why I think they brought Tannehill in. I don't think Tannehill's going to steal his job. No, I think it's Mariota's job. He's a starter. He will play every game. He'll have every opportunity to win the job and continue to start. But if he goes down and Tannehill comes in and plays well, then we can probably say, oh, that's it for Mariota. Or the Mariota era has ended. So, but yeah, I'm gonna say under because I think they're gonna run the football this year. I think they want to keep Mariota's numbers down.
Right. Are you agreeing with Frogman more than me because I'm talking to him?
What?
Okay.
What the fuck is happening?
People are watching, Brian. Don't
Wait
be
a minute.
selective.
Does that mean light skin? Does that mean light skin finally wins?
If you're in the NBA, they always
Hey,
win.
listen, I'm like you.
I'm the Steph Curry of fourth quarter quarrel.
If you're in the NBA, you'll win championships.
I'm Steph, okay?
You're James Harden, which you're flopping.
Hey, Jason, go ahead.
My turn. So I'm actually gonna take under, and I think Tannehill is gonna take that job. I really do.
Wow.
I really think he's gonna take that job. Because of some of the things you guys said. I think he's a better passer. I'm not entirely sold on Marcus Mariota as a passer. I know they're gonna run the football, but and that's nothing to do. He's gonna stay healthy. That's another reason too. I feel like they're gonna get that job is for Tannehill to take. I really do. So I'm gonna take under.
Man, I just don't see Tannehill being a better passer. I think they're like neck and neck. I really do, but yeah, I don't see it.
Let's give Mariota a little support, guys. He lost a lot of his fucking corpse. I mean, he lost Delani after one game. Tajay Sharp is trash. Taywan Taylor went down after 5 games. I mean, give him a little bit of a break. They're trying to give him something this year. So
I think for what Mariota has had, he's done actually okay. Like he made the playoffs last year, I believe, and won.
Right, he's not completely at
and it's not trash, but I just feel like I like
him. It's a
little bit better.
It's health. With Mariota, it's health.
This will be a very deciding year, though, for Mariota for sure. He's in the same year with Winston, so this is very deciding years for both of them. So we'll see. Exactly. Yep. Contract years, we'll call them.
Mm-hmm.
We'll bring it to Derrick Henry, though. He's actually our next one. Derrick Henry has 1,300 rushing yards. Now, fellas, Derrick Henry is fucking garbage until he proves otherwise. I'm sorry. His hot little stretch that everyone is trying to bring up of the last 4 games in 18, let's revisit those real quick. 238 yards against Jacksonville when most of that team had fucking quit, and 170 against the trash-ass New York Giants. Then they had 84 and 93 against Washington and then Indy. Those 408 yards in the 2 games against Jackson and NYG accounted for the 38% of his total yards on the year. Unfortunately for Derrick Henry, he won't be facing the defenses of the 18 Giants or Jaguars again this year. So I'm not sure Derrick Henry even gets to 1,000 this season. I'm taking the way under on this one. Sorry, Derrick.
Go ahead, Steve. Tim.
Well, I'm going to say this. Under. I agree with Sim. He had a 248 yards, two and change towards the end of the season. Everybody got hype. That's going to change. The teams right now, they're going to force Mariota to be that quarterback, which I don't think he is. And that's gonna hurt Derrick Henry a lot until Tannehill comes in and plays quarterback like he is, because he is a better quarterback. Then that's when you're gonna see Derrick Henry rush better. So until that happens, I'm gonna go under because I think Lewis will be the more of the X factor.
Under. There's nothing much to say. You're going off 4 games. He actually started 12. And they had, I think, 3 or 4 games that they went over 120 or 130 yards total rushing, and he accounted for about a third of them. So, yeah, like Josh said, until he proves otherwise, I'm taking the under. And again, this is an Alabama running back that has wear and tear on him. He just happened to hit a hot streak, in my opinion.
I'm gonna say, I guess I'm the only one who's pretty high on Derrick Henry. I'm gonna say under though. 1,300 yards is a lot of yards. That's like saying you're gonna be close to leading the league in rushing, and I don't think Derrick Henry's gonna be that close in leading. He might hit top 5. I think he can hit top 5. I think he can hit 1,100. I think he can surpass what he did last year. Last year, I think he split time with, I believe, DeMarco Murray before Deion Lewis came in. 2017, he split time with DeMarco Murray. I think he had 744 with only 2 starts. This past year, he was splitting time with Deion Lewis, who went down, and then he became the featured back this past year and ran for 1059. I think Derrick Henry is a good back. I think he's a guy that has, for his size, has pretty good shiftiness and quickness, really. But I think it's all going to be predicated to if Mariota can stay on the field. Because if Mariota goes down and they have to give the ball to Derrick Henry 50 times, talk about wear and tear and broken down, I don't think he's going to do it. So I think he's going to be under. I do, but I think he's going to do a lot better than what you guys believe. I don't think his last 4 games were a fluke. I've liked Derrick Henry since he came out of Alabama a few years ago, and I still do today. So I think he's going to be under, but I think he's going to play pretty well this year.
Yeah, I'm actually with Brian. I'm gonna take under too, but I like Derrick Henry too, man. Listen, he's got some growing to do. I'll say that he hasn't lived up to his expectations, but I think the Titans, they did kind of bring in Roger Saffold. They trying to improve their offensive line a little bit. You got Taiwan over there. They got some. They can run the football pretty good. They're a solid running football team. I think he'll be a little bit bigger, more part of that as well. But I don't know if 1,300 yards is a lot of yards. So I'm going to take under, but not – I'll say like 1,100 yards he probably get it. So I'm going to go under.
Got one more to cover for the Titans, and that's Mr. Corey Davis having 1,000 receiving yards this year. Just like Mariota can hurt without his wide receivers, fellas, so can other wide receivers. When you become the focal point of the passing game, it becomes pretty difficult to get open and have a great catch ratio. He had 58% himself, so not all the fault in him, but also not all the blame can be passed. With the increased personnel and healthy bodies coming back, though, I believe we see Davis able to break that 1,000-yard mark for the first time in his career. So I'm going to take that bet and take the over.
Oh, listen, I'm going over. I believe that Tannehill will get some time playing quarterback, and I think he will basically win basically the coaches over to keep him in the game. So, and Corey Davis needs that. He really needs a good quarterback. So I'm going over.
I'm taking the over as well. Marcus Mariota threw for less than 3,000 yards last year. The previous 2 seasons, he threw for over 3,000. And Corey Davis is, if I'm not mistaken, caught for 890 or 891 yards last season. So if I'm going to sit here and say Mariota goes over 3,000, then I'm going to easily take the over with Corey Davis.
Yeah, I think I'm going to say over too. I think Corey Davis' trajectory is pretty well. He played all 16 games, started all 16 games last year, so he's proven that he can stay healthy. I like him coming out of Western Michigan a couple years ago. So I think I really, honestly, he probably has Mariota's job in his hands because they drafted him for Mariota specifically to help Mariota. So I'm going to go ahead and say over. I think he breaks that 1,000-yard mark as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take over as well. I mean, not necessarily because of Mariota, but more so because of Tannehill, because I think Tannehill is a better quarterback. So, and I think once he gets in, and also too, I think they brought in Adam Humphries too. So they got AJ Brown. So they got some weapons so that take the load off of Corey Davis. So he's going to get a lot of opportunities. So I'm definitely taking over.
I've never heard so much love for Ryan Tannehill in one room.
It's not love. It's just that.
Thank you.
Marcus Mariota taking the lesser of 2 evils. All right.
Ryan fucking Tannehill.
I think Mariota is safe. He was a number 2 overall pick He's gonna get his shot.
Jameis Winston was a number 1 overall pick, so that doesn't mean nothing, man.
When I say that, I mean they're not gonna just bench Mariota because I just don't see it. Like if you're gonna bench Mariota, you might as well just bench him now because you don't believe in him.
They're not gonna bench him now.
You know what I mean? You might as well bench him now because you don't believe in him anyway. You find another guy.
Barring a fucking nuke in Nashville.
Yeah.
Being Mariota. There's no way he's
it's not.
No. Mariota has to like be so trash to get benched. I just don't even see
I don't think so.
And Tannehill was let go for Ryan Fitzpatrick. So yeah.
It's a different organization. It's a different team. It's a different coach. Tannehill made throws better with Tennessee under different coach. Remember, he had like 3 coaches in Miami. Healthy.
He could. He did play a wide receiver at Texas A&M too, so that's weird. But whatever.
Last team is the Jaguars, folks. And Nick Foles has 3,500 passing yards. Nick Foles,
Steven's favorite player.
I think the laughed on Foles is still because we think of St. Louis back in 2015, and it's hard to erase that from our memory banks. Even AJ Boye was tweeting that, I don't know if this is just camp fodder, but I'm taking it for his word. He says the plays that he would have made in previous camps, he's not, because Foles has actually been putting it right in the perfect places. So he's a quarterback that can have that 7.2 yards per attempt average. And if you give the guy that 500 attempts that I would assume he should have in Jacksonville, there's no reason I don't think he can have that over that 3,500 mark. I'm actually taking the over. I think he has a pretty successful season this year.
I think he's gonna have a good year. Shim is gonna show why he was probably the better quarterback in Philadelphia Eagles. Put out some names right here. You have Dede Westbrook, you have Marcus Lee, you have Fournette at running back, you have a nice solid defense. So he has what a quarterback should have. Players around him to help him go to the next level. And all he has to do is manage the game. And you have a good coach, decent coach. You got Coughlin running right there, old school mentality. So I think Jacksonville's going to be fine. 3,500 is over. And I'm going to say right now, I can see 4,500. Forget it.
Jesus Christ.
Listen, according to Tim, Case Keenum is going to come in off the bench, and he's going to throw for 4,000 yards this season in 6 games.
Fogman does not like Nick Foles.
Oh, we know. He's very, very open about that.
We all know that.
I haven't hit anything. Nick Foles is actually a very tough quarterback to rate or measure, if you will, because of the fact that he hasn't been a full-time starter. He's gone from starter to backup to starter to backup. And he's also been a guy that's been injury prone. And now he's going to a team where, unlike what Tim said, outside of Leonard Fournette, the names he just rattled off, most people watching this show would have said, who's that? That could have been your overnight stock guy at ShopRite, for Christ's sake. Nobody knows any of these players. So that being said, the only saving grace is John DeFilippo that went over there. And he only had 2 seasons over there in Philadelphia, 2016 and 2017. And he was part of helping Frank Reich with Nick Foles. That's the only saving grace he's got. If you think now that outside of Leonard Fournette, Jacksonville has more talent offensively than what Philadelphia had, you need to be drug tested. So I'm definitely taking the under on 3,500 yards. Shit. The over-under should have been if Foles plays 13 games in an entire season.
What number do you see, Fogman? I'm curious.
In all honesty, I see him if he makes it an entire season, 3,200 yards possibly.
Okay.
Can we all bet? Took my number. Hold on. Steven took my number right out of my mouth. I was gonna say under. I'm gonna say 3,200 because I don't know where the 3,500 is gonna come from based on his receivers. He doesn't really have any. I just looked up who he had, and they have 3 rookies. Dede Westbrook, we'll get to him in a minute. I just don't know where that's going to come from. And honestly, in all honesty, if you're a Jags fan watching this, you don't want Nick Foles to throw for that many yards. You want Leonard Fournette to be your bell cow. So you better hope that Nick Foles is not throwing him, is not really trying to win games with his arm by throwing for over 400 and all this other stuff. Because if that's happening, two things are happening. Leonard Fournette's not running it well, and your defense is probably trash. So you better hope that Nick Foles is not throwing for that many yards. So I'm going to say under for the sake that I think the Jags are going to kind of turn things back around, all based on how Leonard Fournette is going to do. And Nick Foles better hope Leonard Fournette can do something. And Steven hit on the head. Like Del Filippo is really the saving grace for Nick Foles. He really is. And I feel better that he's down there with him too. So I'm going to say under. I'm going to say 3,200 yards.
In the words of DJ Khaled, Brian, you smart. You smart.
I'll wait.
His best season was what he started 10 games, 2,800 yards. He threw for under Delfino.
His best season ever.
Yeah. That's
I
his
believe
best.
it was with Chip Kelly, wasn't it?
Yeah, with Chip Kelly. That was
my mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was his best season. He threw for 2,800 yards. D.D. Westbrook, Marquise Lee, Chris Conley. I mean, they don't really do it for me, honestly. I actually think he'll be close to get 3,500 yards though, because I feel like Leonard Fournette being that bell cow, I feel like teams are gonna kind of stack the box on that and make Foles be more of a passer. So maybe he might get his numbers that way, be a little bit more inflated. But I don't know if I'll see him getting 3,500 yards. Maybe 34. 33-ish, 3,300, so somewhere around there, but I'm taking under.
Okay.
Not forgetting who the Jags head coach is. Not forgetting.
Let's talk about him. Leonard Fournette. He has 11 and a half rushing touchdowns. I worry about Fournette because of his off-the-field issues and what his mental is like in football. I know they're trying to re-up their line too with Juwan Taylor. This is the line that also just had Eric Flowers and Patrick Omameh on the last year. We also had that worked out for the Giants. So we'll see how quickly that can gel over in one season together as a new unit. I don't expect Fournette to really burst off the scene for 12 plus though, after, the track record that he's really had. He could be solid, but I don't think he gets 12 plus. So I'm taking the under for this guy.
I'm going to say this because I was going with what Jason said earlier about how they're going to stack the box and force Nick Foles to throw that football. That's why I predicted the over 4,000 yards. But you know what? If you have the 10-yard or 20-yard short distance, you're going to feed Fournette. You're going to feed him. So I'm going to say over. I'm going to say over. I'm confident.
Nah, I'm taking the under. Coming off of injury. Realistically, this team, like Josh just said, they kind of took Giants offensive linemen and plugged them into their offensive line, which makes absolutely no fucking sense. But I know they're going to try to run the ball, but I think they're going to temper how they use Fournette because they don't want to injure him, because I think they have the same mindset that Brian has, and that he's their generational running back. He's that guy that you want to make sure you keep healthy. He's going to be your staple, at least for the next 3 to 4 seasons. So I think they're going to try to find a equal balance run pass, because that's what worked best for Nick Foles. And I could see him getting 10 touchdowns. I just don't see him getting over getting to that 12-13 mark.
This is the top. It's not necessarily a Tom Coughlin-led team. I know Doug Marone's still there, but Tom Coughlin has his hands all over this team.
Yes.
And his fingerprints. Everybody can see that, so it's pretty obvious. So, but Tom Coughlin he's trying to turn this team to his 2007, 2011 Giants. And what's going to happen is Nick Foles is going to move the ball, but he wants Leonard Fournette to win them football games. So I think Leonard Fournette's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I don't think 12 is a lot. 12 is like saying he's going to lead the season in touchdowns. I don't see him leading the season touchdowns. I can see him getting 10. He had 9 his rookie year. I can see him getting 10 touchdowns. And look, if he has 10 touchdowns, Jags fans, you're looking at a pretty good season. That means Leonard Fournette had a productive year. He stayed on the field all year. He was healthy, and he played well. Rushing yards wise, I'm not sure what he's going to do. I think they're going to stack the box, like Jason said. So he's not going to have a huge yard per carry game average. But when they get in short yard situations, they're going to pound the football. So I think he's going to – 12 is a lot. He could. I mean, Tim might be right. But I'm going to say 10. But I think Leonard Fournette, I do think he's a generational back. I really, really believe it. And I still do. I still believe in the guy. But I'm going to say under. But I'm going to say he's going to be the reason why they win games. That's what they want him to do.
He did have 9 under Brunell. A worst quarterback. He had 9 under Brunell.
Who's talking about Leonard?
Yes.
Mark Brunell?
Yes. Pardon me. Excuse me. Oh my
I'm
God.
like, I'm so confused. You mean Bortles? Yeah, the
Bortles.
Bortles.
Excuse me. Oh my God.
Tim.
Bortles. Excuse me.
Tim's stuck in the 90s right
You're
now.
showing your age right now, dude. I was like, are we back in 1996 right now? The hell? No, you're right. You're right. He did have 9 on the Bortles, and I think he's a better quarterback now. Better threat. So, yeah, you're right. It could be. I said under, though.
Yeah, I'm going to take under, too. I like Leonard Fournette as well. I think he's a very, very good running back. But I just don't think that they're going to be balanced enough team for him to get those touches in the red zone. That passing attack is a little iffy. So I'm taking under.
All right, fellas, we got one last one for the Jaguars and finishing it up for the South for the night. D.D. Westbrook has 900 receiving yards. Westbrook, he's had some brilliant flashes in his limited time with a quarterback like Blake Bortles, and Foles is going to need a receiving best friend. Westbrook, I think he can be that guy. He can play inside or out, as it seems, with his little 6 frame. But this team is lacking a true number 1 ever since AR-15's departure, and I think Westbrook can have that skill and talent level to be consistent receiver 1 for Jack. So I'm gonna bet the over on this one for the season.
I'm going over. Listen. He has 700 and change under Bortles. Bortles. You got Fournette right there. Why not? I'm going over.
I'm actually going to take the under on this one. The reality is they haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver, if I'm not mistaken, since AR-15.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
nobody that has, and I'm a fan of D.D. Westbrook, but he is a diet version of Deshaun Jackson for me. And you've got Nick Foles throwing him the ball, and there's no Chip Kelly free-flowing air raid offense going on in Jacksonville. So unfortunately, no, I'm taking the under on 900 yards, and I like D.D. Westbrook.
I'm gonna take the under too. My argument is pretty similar to when we did Baltimore and with his former teammate and almost like his clone in Hollywood Brown. It's the same exact guy. I don't really see. I think we have the same number too. I'm gonna say the under because I really believe they're going to try to run the football. But I do believe, like I said with Hollywood, I do believe that D.D. is gonna get his yak. He's going to be a bubble guy. He's going to get up the field. They're going to try to go deep with him. They're going to try to go with the crossing routes. He's going to try to run for 20, 25 yards down the field. I don't think he's going to get I think he's going to get a lot of his yards are going to be chunk yards. You're going to have a lot of 2, 3 catches for 73, something like that. But I think I'm going to go the under, but I think he's going to be effective, though. I think he's going to get somewhere around 800, 850.
I'm taking over for the simple fact that he went from Blake Bortles to Nick Foles. I mean, it's simple as that. So Nick Foles is a better quarterback. I'm taking over.
There you go, folks. And that covers it for tonight, finishing up the AFC South. And next week, we're going to be covering the AFC West. So tune in next week, 8 p.m. Wednesday. We'll see you then, knuckleheads.